Hello, Opimian members. My name is Michael Palij. I'm a Master of Wine, and it was my pleasure to taste the wines for C308 with fellow Master of Wine, Jackie Plisson. Now today, as you probably know, is International Port Day. And what is port, I hear you ask? Well, a good question. And not that easy to answer, actually, so bear with me. First of all, port is a fortified or liqueur wine. So this means that alcohol in the form of what we call neutral grape spirit, so this is essentially grape brandy at about 96% ABV, has been added to the port. Why would they do that, I hear you ask? Well, back in the day, before they knew about pasteurization, the climate where port grapes are grown and port wine is made is really hot. It's in the Douro Valley in northern Portugal, and the summers get absolutely baking. And they found that the wine was going off. So to stop that from happening, they added alcohol. And they do this process during the primary alcoholic fermentation. And when they do that, they kill the yeast. So adding the neutral grape spirit kills the yeast and stops the fermentation. So port wine is always sweet. It's also almost always made from red grapes. Now, the classification system for port, the easiest way to think about it is to divide it into bottle-aged ports and wood-matured ports. So bottle-aged ports would be vintage port, okay? So that's a port which comes all from 1 year, and the vintage is stated on the label, and it's from the estate's best vineyards. And under that is a single quinta port, and that's vintage, again, just like the one I just mentioned, but it's all from one vineyard. So you think it might be better, but the vintage isn't quite as good. So bizarrely, if the vintage is amazing, they don't put the vineyard on. And if the vintage is slightly less good, they put the vintage on. The next family is wood-matured ports. And wood-matured ports, there's tons of them, but the key ones are as follows. So Tawny and Ruby are both inexpensive ports, which have been aged in wood until they're fully mature, and then they're bottled. A Colheita port is like a tawny port that has just been aged in cask for a long time, and it carries a vintage on it. And then there's a late bottle vintage, and a late bottle vintage port is exactly what it says on the tin. So it's been aged in wood and bottled when it's fully mature. And the last type is what we call a crusted port, and crusted ports do most of their maturation in wood, are then bottled, and sometimes they throw a sediment or a crust in the bottle. So there you are, everything you wanted to know about port in 2 minutes or less. It's International Port Day today. C308 actually contains some brilliant ports, so I hope you get to try those, and happy International Port Day.